Hey guys, welcome back to the Inventions Podcast with me, Keenan. Today we'll be looking at rockets and sideways elevators. So, looking at rockets first. The first rocket was invented around 1100 AD in China. These rockets used gunpowder and were mainly used to fire arrows and for fireworks. It was not until the 1920s that rocket societies emerged, and by the 1930s and 1940s, professional rocket engineering took off. 3 pioneers began working independently and developing rockets to reach space. Russian scientists were the first to work out many essential principles and to realise a rocket was a means to travel into space. This sparked interest in rocket and space travel. In 1926, Robert Goddard launched the world's first liquid propellant rocket. Due to scarcity, the 1926 rocket did not have much influence on the later developments. The first long-range ballistic missile was a V-2, which was built by the Germans in 1942 and was used against Allied cities during World War II. The US and the USSR used the V-2 as a basis of developing their own larger rockets. Later, these intercontinental ballistic missiles were modified to launch spacecraft and astronauts into space. Even though space travel didn't happen until the 1960s, rockets have been around for a very long time. Robert Goddard is considered the father of modern rocketry. He built the first liquid-fueled rocket in 1926. The rocket climbed 12 metres in 2.5 seconds, then fell back. A typical rocket produced more than 1 million pounds of thrusts. They can travel at 22,000 miles per hour, carrying 6,000 pounds. That's a lot. The heat produced by a rocket in the first moments after liftoff could heat 85 homes for a full day. Rockets use oxygen as fuel to power their thrusters. When used with an oxidizer, they create a propellant that moves the rocket around in space. Rocketry is a popular hobby in the United States. Many people build kits or build their own rockets from scratch to see how high they can send them. Some homemade rockets are huge. The first satellite was the Sputnik 1, launched by the R-7 ICBM by the Russians in 1957. The space race in the 60s was all about using rockets. There was no space shuttle at the time. The fastest rocket recorded was set by the Atlas V in 2006. It left the atmosphere travelling at 36,000 miles per hour and topped out at 47,000 miles per hour. Launch rockets are actually several rockets linked together. When one rocket expends all of its fuel, it breaks apart and falls away, making the unit lighter to travel faster. Rockets are used to blast a space shuttle into orbit as well. The Delta II is the most dependable rocket we've used, launching more than 220 times. The launch pad that carries rockets to the launch site is the largest vehicle ever constructed. It takes half an hour for the launch pad to travel only 1,800 feet. Rockets use enormous parachutes to slow their descent when they come back to Earth. Some are hundreds of feet wide. Rocket boosters fall into the ocean when they return to Earth. They can often be reused, but they require extensive repair because of damage from the salt water. You may have heard of the modern company SpaceX. They're working to make rockets that can be used multiple times, which will make space travel much easier. So far, they have managed to land an unmanned rocket back on a launch pad on land, and are working on making it land on a pad at sea. The concept of how rockets work is actually pretty easy. For starters, a nuclear thermal rocket will have to have an oxidizer in it if it's going to go into space, because in space there's no oxygen. Nuclear thermal rockets are usually made up of 2 types of fuel, liquid fuel and solid fuel. The liquid fuels are usually liquid hydrogen, which is then put into a nuclear reactor, then solid fuel like plutonium or kerosene, for example, then a spark plug sparks the whole mixture put together. This is the most often used rocket, even NASA uses it. So that was rockets. So, looking at the lift that goes sideways as well as up and down. The German company ThyssenKrupp is processing a self-propelled lift that can travel both horizontally and vertically through large buildings and skyscrapers. This system is called Multi. The system operates without cables and uses magnets. This is similar to what is used in some train networks. The proposed system is made up of multi-cabins travelling in a loop at about 5 meters per second, allowing passengers to access the lift every 15 to 30 seconds. The world's first ropeless horizontal and vertical elevator system, similar to the Willy Wonka's glass elevator, has been installed inside a purpose-built innovation test tower in Germany. Through the use of multi-magnetized cabins, which operate in the same shaft and electromagnetic track, it makes it possible to travel sideways as well as up and down. The multi-track system isn't electrified. Linear motors attached to the back of each cabin are powered by electromagnetic coils embedded in the rear wall of the shaft. Passenger cabins can move along vertical express routes, then pivot horizontally to allow passengers to disembark while other cabins pass. However, there are a few drawbacks to this new elevator. The first one is that it is very costly to install, as it uses magnets instead of cables. The average cost to install it is £1.2 million. This is also because of the software it uses, and to keep it connected to the lift shaft. Also, another drawback is that the system hasn't been fully tested for safety yet. So that was elevators that go horizontal and vertically. See you next time, guys.